Hello. Today is Wednesday, September 18th, and welcome to episode 361 of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you quickly up to speed 3 times a week on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. I'm NSI Senior Fellow Morgan Vigna. I'm joined here today by NSI's new Deputy Executive Director, Martha Miller, and my fellow Senior Fellows, Lester Munson and Jeffrey Wells. Now, on Monday, we talked about the libido corridor. And I bet everyone thought today we were going to talk about, let's just say how Israel went ballistic on Hezbollah. Clearly, that operation was nuts. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go on Twitter for some low-hanging fruit. So, with that, today, we are actually going to be talking about the partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, better known as AUKUS, which celebrated its 3rd anniversary on Sunday. The alliance was designed to strengthen partnerships in the Indo-Pacific to compete with China's influence in the region. The partnership has 2 pillars. Pillar 1 is the delivery of nuclear attack submarines to Australia, and Pillar 2 is to enhance joint capabilities and interoperability between nations, also known as arms sales. In August, the State Department determined that the UK and Australia had export control systems comparable to the United States. And on September 1st, certain AUKUS exemptions for the U.S. International Traffic and Arms Regulation, otherwise known as ITAR, went into effect. This marked a significant step forward for Pillar 2 of the partnership. However, experts and those in the defense industry note that there are still challenges to full implementation. So, Les, I'm going to start with you on a positive note. AUKUS was a huge multilateral win with some of our strongest Anglo allies and in our competition with China. We're 3 years in. How's it going?
Morgan, first of all, great lead-in. Well done. Very
you
well
owe me
executed.
$5.
It may have been a couple of low blows there, but well done. I would say, you're asking me to do the positive spin on AUKUS. Overall, this is a terrific thing. It grows out of the Five Eyes cooperation between the U.S., Australia, Canada, the U.K., and New Zealand. It's been this thread of Anglo alliance has been going on for a long time. Multiple presidencies, many Congresses, endorsement from both parties. The manifestation of it with nuclear powered submarines and this effort to bring in the high technology, quantum, AI type stuff, I think is very good. I know Martha can talk more in detail about some of the regulatory aspects of this and the U.S. loosening up on some things. I think these are all positive steps. And it's a natural alliance. And yes, there are going to be some consequences of it. We had to muscle the French out of a deal with the Australians. Frankly, I think having the French in a leadership role on national security issues is generally a mistake. They're much better at things like cuisine and culture and art, where they do play a global leadership role, and we should recognize that. But when it comes to fending off the Chinese and the Russians, not quite as good. So generally speaking, I would say this is pretty significant. It has slowed down a little bit, there's no doubt, and this is a tougher sell than people realize. Even the U.S.-Australia relationship can be fraught. A lot of people think there's a ton of common interests and values, and that is true. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy to do every single thing that we want to do with the Australians, and we need to make a concerted effort to execute on this from the White House to Congress to all of the agencies and departments that are involved.
Mm-hmm. So, Martha, building on top of that, I mean, you served for some time in State Department's Paul Mill Bureau. What does the Biden administration need to get its act together on here? Specifically, what are the regulatory challenges that you see facing the implementation of Pillar 2?
I mean, first of all, this is a regulatory process, right? So this is a bureaucratic challenge. Anytime there's a new regulatory regime, things have to be changed, within classification systems is really what I would say boils down to. But at the same time, the Biden administration will need to work closely with Congress to reform export control laws. And there's also the Department of Commerce, which plays a role in this process as well. So there's
For what
still.
it's worth, Martha, I know
Mhm.
that the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Chairman Mike McCall's team, is working on ITAR reform. So I think that's an important point to note,
Yes.
building off your point with Congress.
Thank you. Absolutely. And so this needs to be supported by the Biden administration. And I'm assuming this will actually spill over into the next administration, whoever gets elected. So, hopefully not. Hopefully this could be included in, and move forward this calendar year in
Hmm.
this Congress.
Got it. So, Jeffrey, what does AUKUS mean for the Indo-Pacific region as a whole? I mean, we see, talks with Canada developing to include Canada in the AUKUS partnership. Um, we see, potential flirtation with, other countries that have expressed a desire to be brought into the AUKUS fold. How is this playing out?
So I'm a little less rosy about where we are. Yeah, 3 years in, I think that it's strayed from its original idea um, due to world events and has changed. Like most things, it evolves, and I think it's a little too early to start talking about other partners like Canada, and that at the moment, and I'm glad Les brought up Anglophile. This is very English focused, English speaking focused, and in the Indo-Pac, that I think that's a bit concerning to many in the Indo-Pac region. That we're 3 years in, it doesn't feel any safer. China has really continued to grow in power, and we're a little bit distracted by Europe and the Middle East. The original plan to have one submarine delivered in 2030 now looks like it's going to be in 2040. And so I'd say the region really does have concern to think that this is kind of a Cold War, and the Indo-Pac region is going to continue to become dangerous and and led by all English speakers at the moment. As much as it'd be great to really have a complete alliance in the region. It is just it's messy at the moment. We don't even understand the ITARS piece completely, and that China's assertiveness is really outpacing the ability of AUKUS to get its act together.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to see too many fault lines here on today's podcast. Overall, I think the AUKUS alliance has built out some pretty bold objectives, but at the same time, though, the way we're seeing it being implemented, and specifically in the ITAR reform, I think there are a lot of challenges, particularly for the U.S. defense industry. Not just the big boys like the primes, but more of our sort of innovative startups that really have the potential to really make a difference when it comes to China's malign influence. So, with that, we are wrapped for today. Thanks to Devlin Burney, Claude Jennings, Alice Roosevelt, and the entire NSI staff for their help in producing today's episode. Join us again on Friday, September 20th, for our next episode of Fault Lines. Fault Lines is now on YouTube, so check out our channel for a view of today's episode. If you liked what you heard, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.